This is Support is Sexy, episode 16, with JJ Gray Shoes founder, Jessica Perdomo. Welcome to the Support is Sexy podcast. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, producer, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I talk to women entrepreneurs who share their journeys and the true stories of their wins and their lessons, and give you insight and inspiration to take your business and your life to the next level. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I'm so happy to have you here because you know it just would not be the same without you. So today's guest is Miss Jessica Perdomo. Jessica is someone whose picture I actually came across when I was looking at Instagram, and Rachel, this woman I've known for 20 something years, who was a publicist, they were in a photo together. I remember Jessica had on this fabulous straw hat and this red lipstick, and there was a picture of her shoe designs, JJ Gray Shoes. I clicked through, and I suggest you do as well, and see all of the beautiful pictures of her shoes. Now, I'm a shoe girl, so seeing any exquisite pair of leather Oxfords or leather riding boots, which is what she does, really got me interested in her. And then just talking to her and hearing her story, truly, truly inspiring, really. One of the things that Jessica talks about is her journey going from being a young girl, growing up with her family in Corona, Queens, her Dominican grandparents, how stern they were with her, but also how loving. But another thing she went through is having very little resources as a family, and what she went through at school, and especially not having the same kinds of clothes or the same kinds of shoes as other kids. And she made a commitment very young to start working to have the life that she wanted. At age 13, she started doing this. All through this time, she's working different jobs. She gets older. She ends up working at luxury brands like Ferragamo and eventually Ralph Lauren. And it's from there that she launches her own shoe company when a trip to Spain totally changes her life. And after launching in just 2014, JJ Gray has been featured in Vogue and several times in Footwear News, which is something that's spectacular. Even though it's interesting that in this episode, Jessica talks about getting press coverage while fabulous doesn't necessarily move the needle for your business. That's something that you need to know. Also, she talks about how your past does not define your future, the importance of knowing that thoughts become things, and of heeding the signs of the universe when it sends a message your way that, hey, you might be on to something with this, which is exactly what she did. Also, when it's a good idea to test your market, even if you start with friends or family, testing the market could be something effective to you. And another thing she talked about, especially for you designers out there, how trunk shows and boldly knocking on doors was crucial to her business. So I know you're going to enjoy this. It's really, for me, it was inspiring just to hear someone who went from not even knowing that she could be an entrepreneur to creating something really special and being very driven and determined to see it succeed. So I've talked enough about how much I love the shoes. I know you're going to love Jessica. So without further ado, Miss Jessica Perdomo. So Jessica, thank you so much for joining us on Support is Sexy. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so tell me, I have to ask you the first question I ask everyone. When did you first fall in love with entrepreneurship?
I first fell in love with entrepreneurship when I started my business. I didn't know that starting a business was something possible for me. So it kind of just happened and I started rolling with it.
Now, you grew up in Queens, right?
Corona, Queens.
Corona, Queens, but you're originally from the Dominican Republic.
My family is, but I'm born and raised in Corona, Queens.
Oh, you were born and raised here. Okay, so you grew up with your grandparents, right?
Yep.
And what was Jessica like as a child?
Jessica was a really good kid. She was a goody two shoes. She liked to play by the rules. I think it was, it was a different time. So I don't, I say scared of my grandfather, but I don't think I was scared. I think there was just this respect.
Yeah.
And, I was a dreamer. I had to have a wild imagination. I was an only child. So there was a lot of playing with myself. And we grew up very poor, so we didn't have most of the resources that most people had. So we just, I had to use my imagination.
So, when you and I talked before the interview, you mentioned that there was sort of a moment that you realized the family was poor, didn't have as much money as everyone else. Can you tell us about that moment and what that was like?
Sure, sure. Yeah, it was eighth grade. I was 13. It was right before school. And I started playing a game of tag with some friends. I was super excited. I was wearing my back to school clothes. And I made a hole in my sneakers. And so I was scared to tell my grandmother about it. And when I got, and you definitely didn't bother my grandfather when he got home from work. You know, you kind of just let him be. So I said to my grandmother, "Look, I have a hole in my sneaker," and we went to back to the store to see if we can like exchange them or something. I don't know what my grandmother thought at that time, and she like quietly suggested, you know, that we get a pair we can afford. But as a kid, I didn't understand why I couldn't get the pair of sneakers I wanted, which is
Right.
naturally what all the other kids had, and which was also naturally more expensive. And so, you know, up until then, you know, I think I mentioned boiling water for a bath and turning on the oven for heat were like just normal things that, you know, we did in the winter time and when it was cold. And so when she couldn't buy me those sneakers, I was like, oh no. And I saw the sadness in her face. And I said to her, I remember, like, don't worry about it. I'll get a job. And I did. I went to the local grocery store, and I asked them for a job as a cashier. I was a little young. They asked me for working papers. I said, sure, sure. You know, I'll bring it later.
Right.
Um,
I was going to say
Never
13
did.
is kind of young
Yeah,
to start working, right?
yeah, never did. They never asked me again. It was like I said, it was a different time. And then on the weekends, I would sell pretzels and lemonade at the racetrack to make money and help support my family.
Wow. So, how did that moment, obviously, you started working after that, but how did that moment change you or your view overall? Did it make a difference in your life, do you think?
Absolutely, you know, I was overcome with this like shame.
Mm,
And you know, when you're a kid and kids are teasing you and you're not understanding why, and you know, and all of a sudden I started paying attention to what I was wearing and what other people were wearing. And it was a time when, you know, I think I mentioned hip hop was very prevalent, and you have like the Coogee Fendi Prada and
right.
you know, Versace, and you equate this to success, and you're like, okay, I gotta have this in order to be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made this vow, you know, okay, this isn't gonna take over me. I'm gonna own this. And I started working really hard, and I made a promise like, look, I'm never gonna wear cheap clothes again. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't about a vanity thing. Like today, at home, I look at the things that I wear, and it's like so not about vanity. It's about quality because I'm traumatized because of that hole in my sneaker.
Right. That's something. Now, what kind of jobs did you have since you were 13? What you've obviously done plenty of different kind of jobs. Like you said, you were
Oh
doing
yeah.
pretzels and lemonade, and but over the years, what kind of things did you do?
Um, from pretzels and lemonade, I saw this flyer for this sample sale, and it had all of those brands I mentioned before, and I was like, oh, it says, you know, 40 to 50 off. I got to go check this out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was legit. It was like all these name brand things. I remember a pair of like Prada America's Cup sneaker, and you know, back in those days, and a little Fendi bag, and I thought I was so cool. But I got the wrong size. I went back to the store, and the guy said, hey kid, you have a job? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, how much do they pay you? I said $7 an hour. He said, I'll pay you 10. Done. The next day I came back, and I said, I was so scared. I'm like, all these brands, you know, Bottega, Tod's, you know, just brands that I had never, the hood doesn't speak about.
Right, right. What kind of store
And
was it? Was it like a store downtown or something?
it was in the garment district, and it
Okay.
was this guy who like would import it from Italy, and it was all legit.
Mm-hmm.
People really know about him. And he basically gave me my intro into what real luxury was. I mean, it was done in a kind of like garment district way, but it was real luxury. And so from there on, I went to work at Salvatore Ferragamo, then Alfred
Hmm.
Dunhill, and then most recently I worked in Purple Label for Ralph Lauren.
Now, isn't it funny how you just happened into that store and that became sort of how things led to where you are now?
I don't think it's funny. I think it's like meant to be. When you put yourself in a position, like in my mind, that's what equated success. So the fact that I found myself in that place, I'm a strong believer that thoughts become things.
Yeah,
And
me
so
too.
I was surrounded by the very brands that I, like what was dreaming about or thought were success. But
And you,
then once you get there, you realize that, there's more work to do.
right, right. And then the fact that you were, one of the things I've talked about with a lot of other guests, the fact that you were open enough to say yes when you were offered that position instead of being afraid of change. Like, oh, it's okay. I already have something, that kind of thing. It was like, yes,
Right.
I'll take it.
I mean, fear has always driven me. Fear, when I'm afraid of something, that's when I go for it. When people say I can't do something, is when I want to do it,
Right.
and there's something to prove. And I mean, I'm a total crybaby too. Like I'll go home and I'll cry my eyes out if
Right.
something's wrong. But in the moment, I'm owning it. I'm putting on my poker face, and yeah.
Is it more something to prove to yourself, though, or something to prove to other people? Because I think a lot of people have that part of that drive in them, or a little bit of
Uh,
both.
Yeah, I think it's more to myself, but it always feels good when other people recognize that they were kind of wrong.
Right. Right. Now, did you
Yeah.
ever think that the work that you were doing in that store and as you moved on would lead you to one day open your own business?
Never, never. I thought for my entire life I would be an amazing employee. That's what I was born and bred to do, to be a great employee. There were a lot of opportunities that I didn't get because of being a minority, because of being brown skin. I was slighted more than once. But like I said, I never let them see me sweat,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm. Now, what was the job that you had at Ralph Lauren Purple Label, right?
Yes, I worked on the sales floor.
And what was the experience like interacting with the customers? Was it something that gave you any insight into what kind of things they'd be looking for from possibly a brand or what kind of things they were into?
Yeah, I think that happened to me everywhere I worked at Ferragamo, even back to the garment district days. You kind of you hear people say, "I like this, but why do they add this or why do they add that?" And a lot of times I would make excuses for the brands, like I don't know, I just sell it, I don't design
Right.
it.
Right.
And so at Ralph Lauren specifically, it was a very classic customer. It was a lifestyle brand. It's something you wear every day. It's not fashion. I mean, a lot of pieces can be fashion, but for the most part, it's a lifestyle brand. And so yeah, I think I learned from those clients um, some of the things that I put into my shoes today.
What is the difference between, say, a lifestyle brand and a fashion brand?
I think that the difference is lifestyle is what the word says. It's something that you can wear all the time, every day, and it's who you are. Fashion, while it's something that who you are, I think it's also a form of expression. So
Mm,
you can wear a high fashion piece that you would never normally wear on a regular day, and you would save that for a special event.
right, right. Now tell us about the trip to Spain with your boyfriend that sort of changed everything.
Oh man, this trip to Spain. So, um, my boss at Ralph Lauren, he got into big time trouble because he gave me an extra week on my vacation
Right.
days.
That's what
Thank you,
started it all.
Sean. Thank you,
Thank you,
Sean.
Sean.
And we were just, we travel to Spain often. It's like our home away from home. It's our alter ego.
Mm-hmm.
And at Ralph Lauren, I wasn't making the money that I was accustomed to making. There was just no way to actually have a life, to be honest. And I needed shoes. I mean, I needed good shoes. My feet were hurting. I would come home, I would roll them on tennis balls every day. Like, it was just unbearable. And then the shoes that I liked were, $700, $800, $900, which to me is normal. But my paycheck was not reflecting that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just couldn't afford what I liked. So I went to Spain and I found this incredible, amazing leather. And I said to the family, like, what is this? And they said, it's calfskin. I'm like, I've been working with luxury for a long time. I've never seen anything like this. And they said to me, nope, this is what the farmers would use to withstand the elements. It's a breathable leather. You can wear it in the winter. You can wear it in the summer season. And it's very supple and soft, so it'll mold to your foot. And I was like, sold.
Right.
But I didn't see anything I liked. So I said to the family, can I sketch something? If I sketch something, will you make it? And, they said, we'll try. And I wish I still had the sketch. I didn't know I was going to start my
I
company.
know. I wish you still had it too.
Yeah.
To frame it.
Yeah, right. And no, I didn't know I was going to start a business from this. And I made a sketch. When I got the shoes, I was like, oh my God. So I started wearing them around town. And people would quietly come up to me and say, where can I find these? I've been meaning to ask you, where did you get these? And I would say, you can't find them. I just had these made. And then a guy chased me 2 blocks. He was out of breath. And he was like, yo, where'd you get these? And after that moment, I said, I'm going to call this family.
Right.
Yeah, I think I got something. That was like, divine order,
right.
knocking on my door. And I called the family and I said, are you interested in collaborating? And they were, thank God.
Now, how did you find this family? Was it someone that you always see when you go to Spain, or did you guys happen upon them when you were looking for shoes and shopping?
We were in Sevilla, outside of a bull ring, and we went into a shop, and I was looking for shoes. They didn't have what I was looking for, but I looked at the tag on the boots,
mm-hmm.
and the tag just had like this town an hour outside of Seville. So we rented a car, pulled out a map, and took off. And we just started shopping around the different shops.
Oh, so the tag from the shop you went into, you went to that town and then...
Just to the town.
Right.
And there were multiple shops.
Right.
But this one shop had this leather.
Wow.
And the family explained that they've been doing it for 3 generations. And the people who they sourced their leather from used to also work with their grandfather 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so special, their story, and I really connected with them. So I had my shoes made there.
Now, the sketch, I know that you said that it was just a sketch that you just did freehand because you don't have a background in design or sketching, but they were able to get the idea of what you wanted from that.
More or less. I also went on our good friend Google and
right.
like that. I like this toe and this height and this, zipper and this closure. It was... The internet helped me too, but it was for the most part, cartoonish like sketch.
Right. And how long did it take them to make it, to turn it around? Did you get it while you were still there, or did they send it to you?
One of the shoes, they already had a similar model, so I was able to leave with a pair.
Mm-hmm.
The riding boots took about 2 months.
Wow. So when this guy chases you down the street after you've had these boots made, what did you say? You just told him, oh, you can't get them. But was that the light bulb moment, like you said, when you were like, I'm on to something here?
Right. The guy actually saw me in my Oxfords. But yes, the light bulb moment was like, I'm being chased. I'm not even stylish. Like
right.
My signature is jeans, a T-shirt, red lips, and like a blazer.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And just being chased down the street because of something that I created by accident was kind of special.
Right. So now what was the conversation that you started having with yourself or with your partner or whoever when you started thinking that, okay, I think I'm on to something and maybe I should start something of my own?
He was very encouraging. He's like, look, you got something here. You got something here. And I was deathly afraid. I was running out of money fast, working at Ralph Lauren because I was getting paid less, but I was still sustaining the lifestyle that I was accustomed to living, making six figures.
Right.
Um, and so I started slowly working on the business. I was taking pictures in my bedroom and sending it to friends and family. I said, this is what I'm thinking of doing. I think this is going to be the price. I'll offer you 30% off. If you're in, let me know. And surprisingly, most of my friends and family purchased shoes. So I
Oh,
was
that's interesting. You sort of tested the market with your friends and
with
saying,
my,
yeah, like
yeah,
have an idea that people would have interest, which a lot of people don't think to do.
right. Well, I was hesitant on that too. I'm telling you, I had a lot of pushing over here. um,
Hi.
because I was, the mistake that I made is that I was thinking of my circumstance, and I was making it their circumstance also. So I was thinking, because I can't afford a pair of $500 shoes right now, maybe my friends can't also. And that
Mm,
wasn't the case. They were all supportive. They all wanted to see me win. And I literally had $800 in my bank account when I quit Ralph Lauren,
right.
and it was scary. Like I said, 700 of it went to incorporating the business,
Right.
and and then I had to create a name for the business. I had to find someone to create a logo that was timeless, and just all of these things that I started learning on the go.
Now, how did you conjure up the courage to actually leave? Was it just what was that moment like when you're like, okay, I'm going to quit and I'm going to do this? Because I mean, you did do some research and find out that there were people who would be interested, but still, it was a big jump to do. And in the business that well, you're in that business, but just designing shoes and that kind of thing, or was it just faith? I don't know.
I think the jump was made on faith, really. I'm a huge believer in you get what you give, what you put out. And I mean, like I said, I had a lot of encouragement, and there's just no way to describe it. At that moment, I was like, look, it's not going well at Ralph Lauren. Um, I have nothing to lose. My backup plan, if I'm knocking on wood, if God forbid I lose, is go back into sales.
Right.
So we thankfully I have a roof over my head, and the support that I'm getting is that I just focus my time and my energy on my business, and I don't have to worry about those other things. So
What about your grandparents? Were they supportive after
uh,
I mean, having seen you work for so many years and all of those things? I
uh,
mean, I've seen great videos of them being supportive, makes me want to cry. But I just want to hear from you. What do you?
yeah. Look, my grandparents saved my life. I can't emphasize that more. And if I think about it, it makes me want to cry. um, so my mom passed away when I was a little girl. I didn't meet my real dad until I was about 18. So I mean, by the proper definition, I'm an orphan. And my grandparents had seven kids. After raising their kids, now this tragedy happened with their daughter, and they took me in and they raised me, and they gave me so much love. And what's interesting is that they never told me not to go work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was odd to them that a 13-year-old was going to work. I think it was quite normal, especially being that they probably didn't finish the sixth grade or like the fifth grade.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, this is what you do. If you need help at home, you go out and you get a job. And now that I've started a business, they cannot support me, with
Yeah.
money, but they call me every day. They make sure that, they pray for me. They make sure that I have peace of mind. They tell me, they're so uplifting. They tell me everything is going to be all right. They tell me how big time I'm going to be. And
Yeah.
even if those things don't manifest, which I know they will, the fact that they even say that, and that they make sure they call me every day, twice a day, I mean, what more support could you ask for?
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. And the whole show is about support is sexy. So I love that. That's a beautiful,
Support is
it's
sexy.
so
My
beautiful.
grandparents are super
Super
sexy.
sexy. I love it. Now, what's the origin of the name JJ Gray, which is the name of your shoe company? Beautiful shoes that everyone has to check out. I'll have a link to the website so everyone can go see them. But when I first
At
saw
JJ
them,
Gray Shoes.
yes, when I first saw them online after seeing the post on Instagram, I was like, what are these? I need to
Yeah.
know now. So, what's the
Yeah.
origin of the name?
The origin of the name is that people always say to me, you have no gray area. You're just black or white.
Hmm.
And I thought about that, because in my house, I was very sheltered in a way. It's like yes or no, left or right. You don't speak unless you're spoken to. It's like it was very strict in a way. And people tell me the world is one big gray area. And my grandmother, in that moment, as I was thinking about like Jay Gray, because my name is Jessica, Jay Gray, everyone kept saying, well, J. Crew, J. Peterman, that's too similar. And in that moment, my angel, my grandmother, she calls me and she's like, JJ. And I'm like, JJ, oh my God, she calls me JJ. And so that's how it came up, JJ Gray.
Oh,
My grandmother and and I gave myself a gray area. And she loves showing people the bottom of her shoe to show the JJ logo.
oh, I love that. So she's always called you JJ. It's just in that
Her,
moment. That's her nickname
yeah,
for you.
yeah, her and my uncle. I think my uncle started it and she finished it. They call me JJ, the only two.
Now, when did you officially launch? 2014, right?
September 2014 was when I incorporated my business. August was when I quit Ralph Lauren.
Now, are they all custom made or can people find them in a retail store? What's the setup?
Yeah, no, you can buy them. You can buy them off the rack, as they say. But if you do have issues with your feet, which most people do, and they don't even know it, like you have two different size feet, or if you've never owned riding boots because your calf is too slim or too
That's
strong,
me.
yeah,
Too
or you're
big.
tall, or you're tall, too tall, or you're too short. These are things that most stores don't take into account because they don't want to sit on inventory. And here I am, saying I'm not fast fashion. You're not going to get this instant gratification. It's going to take 2 months, but you're going to get the shoe that's made just for you. And so there are custom options available.
And what's the price range if someone wants to say have a pair of riding boots made? I'm asking for myself and everyone else.
So for the riding boots, we have one that's 990, and one the Edgar is 990, and Luther is 1100. And then our Oxfords are 390, and everything is made by hand stitched. There's like 6 people in this factory. They're making them just for you. Shoes make people feel confident. I want people to feel confident when they, slip their feet into my shoes and walk out of their door.
Now, what's the vision? Is the vision to sort of stay in the space of being custom made, or are you looking at going into opening up a shop, or what are you thinking?
I would like to open up a shop someday because I think it's so important to educate. And I say this because I did not know that starting a business was possible for me. So what I want to do, what my plans are to give jobs to people, but they can only work with me for 2 years. And
Hmm.
in those 2 years, they need to figure out what their passions are. And my company will help them achieve that in some capacity. I mean, I can only do but so much.
Right.
So I want to inspire with my business, and the only way to do that is to have 4 walls.
Right. I love that. Most companies don't, well, I can't say most that I know of don't look at the idea of helping someone start their own business. It's always you have to be here or go somewhere else. Is that important? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, finish your question.
No, I was just going to say, is that, as you said, important to you just because that wasn't in the realm of possibility for you until you sort of started looking on the outside?
That's exactly right. I want to be the boss that I wish I had.
Oh, nice.
I really believe that that isn't possible these days with other traditional brands. There's these molds of like everyone is disposable, and if you don't do this, someone else will. And I disagree. I think that clients, especially when they come into a store and they see new faces every other week, they start to wonder too, like, hey, what's going on over here?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a believer in compensating people for their work properly. And if people have to worry about their finances, how they're going to make ends meet, if they have to decide between going to dinner with friends or paying their cell phone bill that month, it creates this environment where people are disgruntled and at times hostile.
Right.
And so I want to create a company where people feel like they can live the lives that they want to live, whatever that life is, and without compromise. So instead of having 20 employees on a sales floor like some of the companies I've worked for, I want to have 5 super amazing employees that get paid just the same amount, like more, and are happy.
Right. And that will reflect how they work and then how they interact with customers. People don't see that
Absolutely.
it translates into so many different ways.
So many different ways. And I know it because I was the type of employee who would bend over backwards for my bosses. I would come in early, stay late. If I had to do shipping, I did the shipping. If I had to clean the bathroom, I did it. Whatever that meant, I did it. But it wasn't because of the company. It wasn't because of the name on the awning. It was because of the bosses that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And I would do anything for them so that they look good with their superiors.
Right.
And I think that, people don't, most traditional companies don't understand that.
I love that. Now, with starting your business, did you have mentors and advisors since it was a new field that you were going into? Like, what was the first thing they told you as a newbie?
Man, the first thing people tell me as a newbie is, do I have mentors? The answer is no. I mean, who are my mentors? My mentors are my friends who are around me, the friends that I've made. I used to be very shy. Now I can write someone an email and say, hey, would you like to meet up for coffee? Um, those are not what's the word I'm looking for? Those aren't like mentor mentors per se, but they are people who have helped me along the way. Some people say something and they drop these gems and they stick with you.
Right.
But do I want that one person that I can go to who's been through this and who understands it? Absolutely. I would love a mentor
Mm-hmm.
because where I come from, we're not taught about business. We didn't even speak English at my dinner table. So everything that I've done in these last 2 years has been something that I've learned along the way.
Right. Which there's always so much of that comes along with it. Even if you have somebody, it's kind of like I always tell people, I unfortunately learn through mistakes. I mean, I try to learn from other people's mistakes, but it's like, okay, I definitely know that doesn't work. So I'm going to try something else, but at least other people, mentors, and different people can mentor you. Like you said, your friends, or depends on what kind of information or support they have to offer. Your
Yeah,
partner, yeah, there's all kinds of people, but someone in the business would be great too.
right.
We're going to keep an eye out for you.
Great.
Now, you've received great press for JJ Grey. What has that been like? I mean, you've been featured in, yeah, knock on wood, you've been featured in Vogue and Footwear News. How do you handle marketing? Is it just people discover the brand?
Faith, girl, faith. I got to tell you, everything that's happened to me in these last 2 years, most of what's happened to me, has been pure magic. Um, I got mentioned in Vogue, and someone called me to tell me, and I was like, "That's a mistake. I didn't send any editor's shoes. I didn't speak to anyone there." And she's like, "No, somebody was interviewed for Art Basel, and they were asked what are the go-to shoes to go gallery hopping, and they said Marnie, Stella McCartney, and JJ Grey." And I was like,
Wow.
"What?" And Footwear News, I got lucky with that also. A friend of mine, actually, I can't even say she was a friend. It was somebody that I met like once or twice, and she was a bridesmaid for a wedding. And so was the director of Footwear News. And she said, well, you got to meet this girl. She's got this incredible story. And so that's how that happened. And Footwear News has shown me so much love. They've already featured me like 3 times. They're owned by Women's Wear Daily.
Right.
If some people don't know that, we went international on Univision, the Spanish version of Good Morning America. And they gave us a lot of airtime, like almost 5 minutes. And all of this stuff has happened because, yeah, people find out about their story and they're like, look, who's this girl from the hood who grew up poor, who like made it against the odds and now started a company. And my whole thing is making it and becoming successful so that kids from where I come from or similar places know that it's possible for them too. And I know that there are plenty of like artists and celebrities and who have made it this against the odds. So I can't take all the credit, but like this is like bare bones, no help, trying to figure it out kind of thing. And I'm super transparent. I tell people all the time like my ups and my downs. Yeah, so
it's amazing. Now, and that's the thing. People take notice. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, really focused on the work. That's the thing I'm trying to say. It's like you're really focused on the brand and the quality. It's not, but of course, press is great, but it's just happening because you're doing the work.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, how does that affect your business? We talked about that a little bit too pre-interview, but is it like people think, oh, you're in Vogue, everything's great. You got a flow of business now.
I think when I was mentioned in Vogue, I probably had like $16 in my bank account. So no, that's not that. People think that press is everything. Press gives you 30 new followers on Instagram. Press is not everything. I mean, don't get me wrong. The whole thing about building a brand is spreading the word and having people know who you are. So if it doesn't translate to dollars right away, that's not a bad thing. All you can ask for is that people start to get curious about who you are and what your brand is and what you're about. And then eventually when they see that you're still around and you're proving your quality and your longevity, then that will turn into dollars. That's my opinion. But yeah, press is not everything. It's great, but you really need to do the legwork. I think that what's been more effective for me is like trunk shows. I'll partner up with stores and I'll talk directly to the customer since I don't have a brick and mortar space. Collaborating with other brands and doing these trunk shows is what really educates the everyday person on who you are.
Now, tell our listeners what a trunk show is and how that works in the fashion business.
So a trunk show is, I mean, back in the day, the term trunk show came about because you would show up to stores or someone's apartment or home with trunks, actual steamer trunks, and open up your suitcase and sell your stuff out of a suitcase. Now they've gotten real fancy. Now there's champagne and cheese and wine. And it's pretty much the same thing. You bring your collection, you have these collaborations with other stores, and you expose your clientele or your database to the store who's hosting you, and the store will reach out to their client base and say, hey, there's this cool new designer or established designer having an event at our shop. You should come check it out. And so it's this collaborative effort to just get people involved in both things.
How does a designer get a trunk show? Is it all about having a relationship with the store or partner, building those relationships? What was it like for you?
Yeah, it's building those relationships. I can't tell you how many stores I got kicked out of.
Oh,
I would roll. I mean, I did some really unorthodox stuff. Like people find a PR team and they have them blast out emails to these magazines and these stores. and do it the real fancy way. I just took my boots and my shoes on the road. I would walk into stores with my shoes in my hand and say, "Hey, I'm this new designer. You
Right.
want to check out my shoes?" And
That's
they
the
would say,
JJ way.
"That's the JJ Gray way." And they would say, I don't have time for this. Like, no, or like, who's wearing your shoes? And I would say, people,
Right.
like people are wearing my shoes,
Real
and
people.
not like regular, like, people who would buy like one pair. There were people who were buying 5 pair at a time. And they would say that what they really meant was what celebrities are
Mm-hmm.
wearing my shoes. And so we're living in a culture that's really influenced by celebrities. But going back to the whole thing, yeah, I would just roll up and get kicked out sometimes. But that never discouraged me. I never once said, "Man, this idea sucks. These shoes are awful." I would always leave thinking to myself, "Man, they're going to be sorry someday." Or
Mm.
like, one day they're going to see me out there and they're going to be calling me for my shoes. And, you just can't be bitter about those kinds of things. You're going to get a million no's and one yes.
Right. How did you push through that? Was it just, again, going back to that faith or that thing of proving yourself right in those moments? Because some people would get discouraged or have those moments like, this is dumb. Why am I doing this? Especially in the age now where people do just send an email or have quote unquote connections and that kind of thing.
Um, how did I get through that? The thing about, hold on, sorry. The thing about rejection is that once it happens once or twice, you kind of just get good at it, and you're
Yeah.
like, let me just keep pushing through this. And so I don't know. I don't want to say rejected my whole life, but I'm a minority woman, like with big curly hair, and like, I have a big nose. Like, I've been slighted by guys. I've been slighted by, other people. I've been in business. I've been slighted for job opportunities. Like, this is what I chose.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted a job that pays me bi-weekly or weekly, I can do that. And so since I don't want to do that and I don't want to work for anyone else ever again, I'm going to move my ass. I'm going to, make it happen for myself.
Right. Do what you have to do to make it happen.
Yep.
A friend of mine says no is just a part of the process.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a different way of looking at it instead of as rejection.
Well, I started looking for like keywords, and you can't see behind, in front of me, I have this big whiteboard,
Mm-hmm.
and I just write down ideas and sales goals and everything. And one of the things on there is entrepreneurship is derived from the French word entreprendre, and it means one who takes risks. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm a risk taker. I mean, to go out and get a job at the age of 13 and not tell my friends, I was embarrassed by it. And, they would want to play with me on the weekends. And I was like, I can't. I have family stuff to do. And I was like at a racetrack selling pretzels and popcorn and lemonade.
Mm.
Those are, all I know is risk. So, yeah, no.
Risk and hustle.
And hustle. I'm a
Huh.
hustler.
Now, only a few more questions. If there's one thing you wish someone would have told you about entrepreneurship, what would that be before you started?
Um, I always joke around and say, I wish somebody would have told me how hard it was going to be so that I wouldn't do it. But that's a lie, because I would have done it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Sometimes it's better that you don't know. That's what I say.
yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, I said this before. I didn't really have much guidance. I still don't. And no one in my family, I can't say that. My grandfather was a tailor. He had his own tailor shop. That's
Mm.
some entrepreneurship. My grandmother at some point opened up a factory, um, back in the day, and that's entrepreneurship. But I don't know if they knew that. So they didn't really talk to me about entrepreneurship. They always talked to me about being a good person and being my best every day and doing good deeds. And there was a lot of love. So I wish somebody would have told me everything. I mean, I didn't know what a business development person was, brand strategist. I didn't know what business plan was. I wish somebody would have told me these things beforehand, like growing up, like in school. And therefore I would have had a clear idea of what entrepreneurship actually was. But no,
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this stuff. I'm still learning.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think there are some schools now that teach entrepreneurship. I've started hearing, I don't know where they are,
Good.
but I've
Good.
started hearing more about that because those are the things that we just never hear. It's all about how to be a good worker, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's the greatest lesson having a business has taught you about yourself as a woman?
Oh man, I think it's what most women already know, but that we can handle anything. And as women, you know, we're good at handling adversity, and we're good at handling just problem solving, and just, you know, rising above things. And I think that that's what it's taught me, is that I still have all of those things. And, you know, it's taught me how to not be shy, how to be more outgoing, how to take more risks, how to ask for help. Support is sexy.
Yes.
Yeah, all of those things. There's so much.
That's beautiful. Now, what's next for you? What are you most excited about today?
Today, what I'm excited about is how more and more people are getting interested in the brand, and not only the brand, but the things that we want to do, and the things that, you know, we're trying to implement. So my bigger passion is giving back. Philanthropy, it always has been. And that sounds like, well, how do you give back if you have nothing? There's plenty of ways to
There's
give
plenty of
back.
ways, definitely.
So what I want to do is, for every shoe or boot purchase, I want to buy sneakers for underprivileged kids in the 5 boroughs, because of my experience with my hole in my sneaker, and feeling ashamed in class and having to wear, you know, the sneaker with a hole in it. I want kids to focus on their studies, because I remember sitting in a classroom thinking about going to work or making money or helping out at home, and not really focused on my studies. And so I want to make sure that every kid has a good pair of shoes to go to school. I'm still trying to figure that out. So if there's any one of your listeners that can come up with some ideas on how to choose these kids, you know, what sneaker companies would want to partner with a cause like this, let me know.
Yeah, that's a beautiful idea. I know Tom's Shoes does either something like that or something similar. So I'm gonna look up some stuff too and send you some links.
I think, but Tom's, you buy a Tom shoe and you get a Tom shoe. What
You,
JJ Gray is saying is, you get the shoe that makes you feel confident. I
right,
don't know if that's a Jordan sneaker, an Adidas sneaker. I'm not saying I'm buying kids some Yeezys that
right,
cost $1,200. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a cap on the maximum, but sneakers are expensive.
right.
And if your parents don't have the money to buy you the sneakers that everybody else is wearing, you're the odd kid out, for no good reason other than it's not your fault, you know?
And then it's like you said, something else to have to worry about.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. So I have to ask you this one of the last questions I ask everyone. If you think over your life and career and you had a chance to thank only one person whose support was critical to you personally or professionally, who would it be and what would you say?
Oh, only one person?
Maybe
Only one?
only one
Only
person,
one?
maybe two.
Oh. I'm not going to name any names. I'm just going to say the thank you,
Okay.
because this thank you is going to go to more than one person. Wait, can you repeat the question one more time?
Sure. If you think over your life and your career and you had a chance to thank only one person whose support was critical to you personally or professionally, who would it be and what would you say?
Mm. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard not to get emotional, because, all right, I'd say thank you so much. Without you, who I am today would not be possible. Um, you have inspired me to go out and be my best every day. Um, Man, this it gets hard because I'm trying to think of like, you know, a handful of people at once. Um, the, you had to send me that question beforehand. I had to write this one out. There's a handful of thank yous. Um, yeah, no, it's so simple. It's like thank you, thank you. We use that word so loosely, and we say it so many times. You know, we say thank you to the person who brings us a napkin, and thank you to the person who brings us, you know, a glass of water. We don't think, but thank you is so powerful. Just thank you, and please just continue doing what you're doing, because whatever it is, it keeps pushing me, and I hope that I do the same for you in turn.
That's beautiful. That's perfect. I'm sure they all received that.
All of them.
All
Is
of
that
them.
there's a lot of them.
That's
There's
great.
so people always compliment me on how you've gotten so far alone as a solopreneur. That's not true. Village, and I can give you the names of all of the people that have contributed to my success. It's not just me. And it could be, you know, just a phone call. It could be an introduction. It could be just a quote. It could be whatever. There's so many people who are a part of this. And everything that I've done so far is always dedicated to all of those people, including you. You know, you're
Oh,
interested in the story. It's
of
like,
course.
thank you
Thank you.
too.
Yeah, this is, you know what, that's, I'm so glad that you said that because that's something that I try to communicate to people, just the importance of sharing that. Of course, there's a part of it that you do by yourself and there's nights when you're all alone and pushing through. But for most people in our world overall, but certainly for entrepreneurs and as women, there is a village behind us. If there's not a village behind you, anyone listening, you need to get one. Find
Yes.
people who support you, even if they're not doing the same thing as you. Like I have very close friends who aren't entrepreneurships, but when I'm like, I got this idea and I'm doing whatever, they support me. So I think it's so powerful what you said about, yes, as a solopreneur, people think you're doing it all alone, but that's
It's
not,
not, yeah. It
yeah,
takes a village.
yeah, that's,
Support is sexy.
support is sexy. Actually, one of my, the things I say with support is sexy, having it all, quote unquote, doesn't mean doing it all alone. You
That's right.
have to have people there. So what's a way that we can support you? Your website, of course, I'll link to that. Social media, of course. But what else do you want us to know? How else can we support JJ Gray? It's a beautiful brand. Beautiful. Riding boots that actually fit.
Thank you. Thank you. Riding boots, shoes that actually fit. Yes,
Yes.
riding boots and shoes that actually fit. Yeah, you know, just spread the word. Tell your friends, repost our images on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. They're all beautifully curated and thought out. We celebrate everyone, not just women of color. We celebrate everyone, kids, animals, people of all shapes, sizes, colors, you know. And if you know, and write to me, email me. I want to hear about you. I want to hear about your feet troubles, or what you love about, you know, shoes, and or what you've been looking for and can't find in the industry. I want to hear about all of that. I want to share your story, you know. I want to share it too. So
Right. Where can
um
people, do you want to give out an email? Is there an email that's good? A
sure,
general
sure.
email?
You Everyone can email me at Jessica, Jessica, at JJ hyphen Gray, GRAY.com.
Okay. And it's fine if I give that out.
It's totally
Okay.
fine.
Just making sure.
I hope, you know, I hope there are no hate emails, but
No, no, no. All love. All you let me know if there are for sure.
oh no,
No,
all
there
love.
won't be. All love. Well, thank you. I so appreciate you and your time and making this happen. I mean, I was so excited about your story and talking to you beforehand and hearing more about your story and talking to you now. You've just been just great. Just
Thank you.
a bright beam of light.
Thank
Uh,
you. Thank you. Yeah, love and light to everyone.
yeah, but
And if anyone wants to come work with us too, you know, we're trying to build out our team. If you have an expertise and you want to exercise that, and you want to learn how to build what it takes to build a brand, come on board. I mean, We pay in shoes.
Oh,
It's
nice.
we're still a startup, but we're not going to be a startup forever. You're not that term forever. Eventually, we'll be a full blown company. And if you want to be a part of that process, just hit me up.
What about students? I have a friend who's a professor at FIT. Is that something that you guys are open to?
Yeah, absolutely. If they want to help build their portfolios or need
Right.
credits for classes, absolutely. I totally encourage it because a lot of people just see the how pretty things are, and
Mm-hmm.
like, you can't go always by like the surface. And you really, in order to understand what happens behind the scenes, you really need to just be there, roll your sleeves up and understand it.
I'm going to connect you with her via email. Her name is Letitia.
Amazing, amazing. I
Yay,
want to
great.
connect some people with you too.
Great. I'm so excited. So
All right.
before you go, can you give us just a parting piece of advice?
Oh man, there's a few. So the first is your past does not define your future. You whatever you've done back in the day has maybe most likely set you up for where you are today. Um, and don't give up. You're gonna want to. It's gonna get hard. You might not get your hair done. You might not get your nails done one day. But don't give up. If you wanted a 9 to 5, if you wanted to get a weekly paycheck, you'd get that. And the third is this quote by Warren Buffett that I live by, is that if you can't control your emotions, you can't control your money. And I think that as women, we're emotional beings, and I'm trying to find courses or find things where I don't react to things in an emotional way. And I don't mean like yelling or crying or whatever, but just really seeing business on a surface level and really understanding business so that you can be successful. I want to see women win. So those are my three things.
I love
Good luck,
that.
good luck, good luck to everyone. I really, really want to see more entrepreneurship.
I love it. Jessica, thank you so much. I so appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Hold on one second. All right. Thank you so much for listening to that episode of the Support is Sexy podcast. And I do hope that you got some inspiration from it. And the challenge is for you to do at least one thing. Take one thing from the episode, at least one thing. You can always do more, but at least one thing that will help you move one step closer to your dream. Whether that's launching a business, writing a book, whatever that thing is that you want to do, take something from this episode and move one step closer. And what I'll also ask of you, if you can tell me what you think about the episodes, what we've been doing, what you want to hear, what you like, what you experience while you're listening, go over to iTunes, leave us a review, and let me know what's going on. What are you thinking? What are you feeling about the show? What else can I do to be of service to you, which is what this is all about, to be of support to you. That's our buzzword, right? You can also go to my website, elaynefluker.com/podcast. So that's ELAYNEFLUKER.com/podcast. Hear more episodes there. Also have a bunch of great videos, tons of information. It's where I'm going to be spending a lot of time, and it's where I'd love to connect with you. So again, thank you so much for listening. I truly appreciate you and your support. And the most important thing I want you to remember is having it all does not mean doing it all alone. So now, go out there and create something sexy, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.